Welcome to Talking Up Music Education, a podcast from the NAM Foundation. The NAM Foundation is working to assure that all children have the opportunity to learn and grow with music, and that music is part of daily living for everyone. Talking Up Music Education podcast shares news and stories about music education from teachers, students, parents, school, and community leaders who care about music education and are working to create more opportunities for music learning. And now, here's your host, Mary Lurson.
Thank you for joining us for this special edition of Talking Up Music Education, a NAM Foundation podcast celebrating the benefits and joys of music learning. On today's special edition, we are recording live from the Music for All National Festival in Indianapolis, Indiana. I'm really happy to have with us here today on the Saturday morning of this remarkable festival, Eric Martin, who's President and CEO of Music for All. Eric is a native of Greenville, Mississippi, where in 7th grade he found the band room at his middle school. As he's known to say, the band room was a safe place, a place where we could all make connections. We had great teachers, and that continued on when I went to high school. I was someone who was never looking to be a professional musician or even a music teacher, but someone for whom music and music making was always very important. Eric, it's great to be in your town for this great event.
Mary, we're so happy to have you here.
Thank you. And Dr. Tim Lotzenheiser is with us today. He is a former college band director and previous director of Bands of America. And today he heads his leadership development organization, Attitude Concepts, and spends weeks and weeks every year on the road working with college students, music educators, and future music teachers, guiding all to personal improvement and opportunities to contribute to others through music. Dr. Tim is beloved by students and music teachers alike, and we are grateful to converge with him here for a few hours in one place at Music for All Festival. Welcome, Dr. Tim.
Thanks, Mary. Fun to be here with everybody.
We're also here with John Whitman, who is an executive and important member to NAM of Yamaha Corporation. He's Director of Education and Artist Relations for the Band and Orchestra Division of Yamaha, and he is responsible for organizing the support for over 700 woodwind, brass, string, and percussion artists, as well as running Yamaha's educational programs, such as the Yamaha Youth Performing Artist Competition and the Band and Orchestra Division's clinic program. And I understand he's responsible for so many directors and clinics that are here at the Bands of America Festival. John was a band director in New York State, where he headed 2 highly successful high school music programs. He was awarded the Teacher of the Year at Waterford Half Moon High School and was also named a distinguished alumnus from the College of St. Rose. John is active on the Support Music Coalition and the Indiana Coalition for Music Education. Welcome, John.
Hi, Mary.
So lovely to have you here.
Thank you.
We also have with us today, which is really the heart and soul of the Music for All Festival and also our work that we do to support music education, which are music teachers, band directors, and their students. So we have with us Richard Hicks, Director of Bands at the Lake Travis High School in Austin, Texas, and from Centerville High School at Saxophone Quartet in Ohio, Band Director Josh Baker. Welcome, band directors.
Thank you.
Most important people in the room, quite frankly. Thank you. And also their students, Maggie O'Neill and Emma Peterman. And we'll welcome them and chat with them later in the program. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right, Mr. Eric Martin, you look pretty chipper for having been involved in the preparation of this event and having so many people in your town and hosting. You really do look really good. You must be happy.
Well, Barry, I'm happy. I'm probably looking chipper actually because of the opportunity to participate in this podcast and to spread the word about the work that we're doing.
That's great. So give us an overview of the events going on around here. You know, kind of be a real good radio host and tell folks what it looks like. And I went into the big cafeteria next door where students are having their meals, and you could feel physically the vastness and the large scale of this event.
Mary, we're in a magnificent city called Indianapolis, which we call home, and it's just become a destination for scholastic musical arts. Gathered with us at this Music for All National Festival, which is quite frankly, literally in the numbers, the largest we've ever had. We have a community that consists of about 2,900 people, comprised of more than 2,200 students, another 250 teachers, the chaperones, the parents that are here. We're being supported by more than 85 of the finest artists and educator clinicians in the country. And what we have created here at JW Marriott Place, and we've quite frankly outgrown it to where we've spilled out into other properties around the city, is just the largest community of scholastic music making that could ever exist in the nation. And we have students from more than 30 states, more than 185 schools. And we've been having a weekend that's had 63 different performances.
And when did students start to arrive? It's Saturday. So I was in a full day of performances and clinics yesterday, which was just probably one of the most wonderful days I've ever had.
Our students start to trickle in on Tuesday. Then we had our honor ensembles all in place by midday Wednesday, which consists of an honor orchestra of America, the honor band of America, the jazz band of America. Those three honor ensembles have been preparing. Two of them performed in concert last night, another one tonight. So they've had literally just almost 3 days to prepare. But when Thursday rolled around, we had another 2,000 students who came in from all across the country, busing in, flying in. And I love to say that I really feel just that the roughest trip had to be for our ensemble coming in from Carmel, Indiana, where they actually, can you imagine this, Mary? They actually got on school buses, came downtown, and they have been staying in the hotel less than 15 miles from their home, but to make sure that they got the full value and the full experience of this festival, their school, their teachers, their parents said, no, they need to stay and be with everyone else.
And it's really, it's really obvious in the city, coming into the city. I came in Thursday, it is loaded with buses and it's loaded with policemen on the street deciding which lanes to close so the buses can line up. It's really quite something out there. So you've created something truly, truly wonderful. So just to share what my experience was like yesterday, I went out to Butler where the bands were performing. And they performed in a beautiful concert hall, a full program that they've prepared. And then that band exited and went into a rehearsal room where one of the master clinicians actually gave them, the minute after they performed, critique. And there's also a lot of parents here too. Parents travel with their kids to these events, and the parents were standing around the room. And that was the magic. Not only were this remarkable performances, but what the children, students, young musicians, scholastic musicians were able to learn, and get that reflection. It was just really powerful. I don't think I've really witnessed something that strong, an act of learning, an act of education that was so important.
For us, that's the difference maker. Music and music making, and particularly the way we approach music education in the ensemble fashion in America, is just this amazing opportunity for growth. And it's not just growth for the students in their academic year, but it's year-over-year growth. It's that only classroom where whatever was achieved the previous year by those students in the room, it doesn't meet the standard and the expectation of the teacher, the community, and the students themselves the following year. It's a bar-raising exercise. So the students, when they come and they perform the concerts, they're often emotional that they put so much work and energy into it. We follow that right up with another master teacher, clinician working with them, and it's not about you take a moment to let the experience settle in, but you're immediately off to how you can elevate that experience in preparation for what's going to be next.
Yeah, it was just a wonderful experience. And again, seeing the quality of student, but also the quality of teacher. Oh boy, oh boy. If you wonder, the heart and soul of our music education in our country is in the hands of just remarkably gifted people. It's really amazing.
And it's our goal to have our programs and our events be opportunities where they can grow themselves, that they can have another stage and platform in which to allow their children to experience and understand the possibilities that come in life from music making.
Yeah.
So we're very serious about it.
Yeah, and I looked out into those ensembles of young people, having raised a young person myself, and all of us care so much about young people, and looking at their intensity and their focus on their own experience and their group. And it was wonderful. You sit in a very interesting spot as President CEO of Music for All. You've been involved with music education from middle school on, right? You found your way to a very interesting spot and leading. What do you think's happening in the field of music education?
I don't know if it's what's happening in the field of music education, but I can tell you what goes on in Eric Martin's mind. And I've been thrilled from the support of our board, from others in the profession. Music for All, sometimes when people look at us, they see us as a highly resourced organization, and our participants are highly resourced. But since I've been CEO, I've made a commitment of the organization that our vision is to be a catalyst to ensure that every child across America has access and opportunity to engage in active music making in his or her scholastic environment. I was a little nervous about that, whether, parents spend so much money and time and energy raising the money and the funds necessary to have successful programs in their own communities and for their own children. But the amount of embrace and community that I see in terms of teachers, students, and parents wanting to make sure that the opportunities that their children have are available to others. So at Music for All, we've been highly engaged in trying to reach underserved communities, rural communities, urban communities, different music making types of genres. We've got long distance plans that are not so long distance to look at providing additional opportunities in mariachi. We are looking at the historical African American band movement and seeing how we can be help there, particularly focused on urban education, where the choices that are being made in favor of STEM as opposed to STEAM are dramatic and dangerous. So we've been working to ensure and to convince communities that everything that you may observe about our organization and the growth that students, quite frankly, brag about should be and must be available to everyone else. So what I see really happening is that there's just a strong will. Some people call it Title I initiatives. I don't know if I can get my arms around that term because it's kind of a label, but there's a clear need for the underserved to have the kinds of opportunities that the 2,200 students who are here this weekend are experiencing. It is no accident that we're in the JW Marriott Hotel at Marriott Place, that our groups are performing at Butler University's Clues Hall, Schrott Hall. They're performing in performing arts centers. As you walk through the hallway, you don't see jeans, you don't see sneakers, you see young professionals who are behaving as young professional musicians. And those opportunities absolutely must be available to children all across our nation.
So we need to link arms to get that done. Music for All, NAMM Foundation,
yes,
other organizations. That's something we need to talk about too.
Absolutely.
Right.
The biggest word in our vocabulary right now is collaboration. Mm-hmm. And we've expanded our own programming by collaborating. We're doing regional festivals around the country that are collaborations. We're working with the National Band Association. We're working with the College Band Directors Association of America. Richard Crane, who could be called the father of this festival, and his leadership at the Midwest Clinic. And Mary, the NAMM Foundation has been associated with this organization as long as I have been here, and that's almost 20 years. But in fact, my understanding, and this festival came about before I got here, it was started 25 years ago, that in part was seed money that came from NAMM.
We hear that a lot, actually. We're standing on the shoulders of some very visionary people. and it's up to us to carry it forward. But you're absolutely right. We need to move forward for access and equity. And those terms were never really part of our world for a long, long time. And I think that is the opportunity going forward. So to kind of wrap up, and I'm so grateful to have your wisdom shared with us today. What's ahead for Music for All in the short term? I mean, next, like this summer symposium, Grand Nationals in the fall. Your beat keeps moving on. The drum keeps pounding, right?
We'll leave here, and over the next 30 to 45 days, there will be 7 regional concert band festivals across the country, literally from New Jersey to California. We've been adding at least 2 a year for the last 3 years. And the goal is, each fall, we've just finished a fall season with our national championship and 20 regional events. The goal is to have an equal number of events that are spring concert-oriented events. Then we'll go into our summer symposium. It will be our largest camp ever at Ball State University. Last year was a record year where we had 1,200 students, and we expect to have 1,500 students from across the nation this summer with us. We are adding a middle school week-long concert band camp this summer, and quite frankly, at this event, we layered on a director track where non-participating directors that didn't bring ensembles are getting to come in and share time with the masters who are here, so they can come in one place and have that connectivity. And then probably the thing that has my eyes wide open and awake, when you come back to this festival in 2018, you'll find that we've added the last major scholastic component. There will be a National Choir Festival that'll be a part of this event.
Fantastic. So I have some things on my list for you that we'll talk about afterwards. All right?
I'm all ears.
Hearing all this, and there are some really important opportunities in the education sector we need to explore together. So stay tuned for that podcast, folks.
Yes.
Thank you, Eric.
Thank you.
Hi, this is Mary Lurson, and you are listening to a special edition of Talking Up Music Education, recorded live at the Music for All National Festival in Indianapolis, Indiana. Thank you for joining us. Now back to our program. So we're going to move on now in our conversation here at Music for All and invite our guests that are around the table. And we are literally around the table. It's if we were a family of music makers, we'd be passing something interesting to eat, but we're passing ideas here early in the morning on Saturday from Indianapolis, Indiana. So Dr. Tim Lotzenheiser.
Hi, Mary.
Hi, you are here. We actually had a couple of hours that we could have a conversation, just the two of us,
Great.
Not on text, not on email. And it was, again, we stopped for a few hours somewhere and connect. So you are such an inspiring speaker. You are a much loved conductor and teacher, known by so many, and you help so many. What sets this festival apart? What's unique about this festival?
Well, there's a lot of things. I think what Eric said was one of the most important. It's a first-class event from beginning to end. And the performance isn't just on stage. It's the prelude and the postlude of it, too. It's dressed up. It's black tie. I think another thing that separates it, Mary, is the fact that it's about cooperation and not competition. And we live in a competitive world, and so many festivals, and this is, I support them too, but you come out 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Everybody's a winner here. That's how they got here, because they're already good. So there's a sense of collective support instead of, we're a somebody and you're not a somebody and all that sort of thing. I think this really is important too, that the people that Eric and his staff bring in are the best of the best of the best. I mean, they're literally the icons. So, I sat there with my mouth open going, I can't believe all these people. I can't even believe that I'm seeing 2 or 3 of these people. In most events, there would be one that would be a headliner and then several others. These are all headline people. And then I think probably the most important thing is that it's about not only performance skills of music, but it's performance skills of life. And you just rise to the occasion. It's like when you go into church, you lift up. There are certain things you do and don't do. So I have such a respect for what they go home with. The takeaways Yes, musically, without question, because you're surrounded with the best of the best. But they also take away, I'm a somebody, and when I dress up and I feel good about myself, maybe I ought to take all these things I learned and habits and bring them into each part of my life. I can be excellent in everything I do. That's why I think it's different. It itself is the reason to be here, not so you can go to some event or roller coaster. And I'm not putting that down, but the reason to be here is to be here for the music and the experience, nothing else.
So how long have you been involved with Music for All? And how have you seen music education transform in and through this in and with and through this organization and around this organization? Big question, I know.
Which one you want?
Yeah, I know. Big question.
Since the beginning. I mean, since Larry McCormick first started it in 75, I think, 75 and a half or whatever. I think what I hear and what it does is the mission statement, positively life-changing experiences, which sounds cliche or altruistic. No, it happens. And even yesterday, I was talking to some of the people that are working here, going, this is what changed my program. And it's like, oh, come on, just a couple of days changed your program? No. And as a result of that, I'm embracing the entire Music for All agenda. I want my kids to be part of this, a part of this, and a part of this. So people walk away with, it's a blow-away experience. Mm-hmm. That's what I think makes a difference.
It does, yep. Yes. And Eric, anything to add about that? I mean, setting this trajectory to be, a truly unique organization, as opposed to being the band festival where the best come and, to being mission driven within the music education sector itself.
Yeah, Mary, I've been around the organization really almost 25 years. I was actually on the board before I ever came to work for the organization. And, Larry McCormick, Joey McCormick, Scott McCormick, Bob Morrison, people who had vision about organization, but I'm going to be quite frank, no Tim Lotzenheiser, no Bands of America, no Music for All. So much of who we are and what the belief system is, the concepts about people first, building everything around character, leadership, building it around development of the person. I tried for years to live up to the Tim Lotzenheiser standard. And I know that from an organization, when we invoke and include leadership in every aspect of what we do, the biggest task I took on when I took the serious leadership role in the organization was the organization would be what we espouse. So internally, externally, programmatically, with those we touch, that's who and what we would be. What's so remarkable is the protectiveness that starting with our board to our educational team to the teachers and clinicians. I heard a conversation yesterday. We were talking about someone who probably should be involved in as one of the icons in our industry in the program, this person would probably be mortified when they hear this. They'll know exactly what I'm talking about. But they were talking about one of their fellow colleagues at their institution and said, no, not now. Maybe soon, and we hope, but it wouldn't be the right match for this organization. People are protective of the experiences that they have here, and I think that people come back year after year because that it is a quick, minimally shot in the arm opportunity to espouse, to do, to say, and to operate in an environment that is reflective of what they believe life should be. And to me, Tim Lotzenheiser, so much of that for me, Eric Martin, came from listening to you, drinking the Kool-Aid fully.
I think what you're telling me is there's a really strong value and belief in the organization, and that the people are invited to participate in the values, but not to disrupt the values, right? I mean, it's to contribute to the values.
I can remember when this organization established its core values, and there was one, I was a board member and an employee at the time, and the question was that I don't know that we can truly adopt this value because we're not there yet, and a former board member of the organization looked me straight in the eye and she said, "Do you believe in this value?" And I said, "Absolutely." And she said, "We're adopting these values because we have an expectation that you will move the organization to be fully compliant with that value."
It's very important that we're having this conversation because in this complex world, this does matter. And it matters what we want to pass on to our children and our students and share with them. And organizations can and must stand for value and then be a magnet and a centrifugal force for that value. So I know we went a little deep here so early in the morning, but I know it's a very, very important conversation that organizations need to have, and that there are value statements that they have on the wall of their organizations, and then they set themselves against those values and organize around and evaluate themselves around those values, going right down to a band room. Right? What are the values of a band room, I think. So, John, from Yamaha, why is it so important for Yamaha to be connected? And you've been connected for a long time as the presenting sponsor.
Yes, we're going on our 20th year as national presenting sponsor. And Yamaha's, Mary, is so keenly aware of the responsibility that we have to keep music education growing and to take good care of band directors and to pay attention. We take our commitment to Music for All and to the other initiatives that we do very, very seriously. It's really in our DNA. If you walked around the halls of Yamaha, you would meet people that are musicians or, who were band directors who are still involved in WGI and DCI and giving clinics. They're all loving music still. So we take it so seriously. It is part of us. We all know that a high percentage of young music teachers quit after 2 years. And that's a very, very scary statistic, and we pay attention to that. We want to see and always strive to answer the question, what do you need? How can we help you? It's no mystery. We make instruments, and we try to make the best we can, and we want to sell them as any company does. But we also know that unless we pay attention to growing the pie, and making sure that other people, have what they need, that we're not going to be in any good position at all. So specifically, we try to work with schools, try to work with organizations, MEAs, try to keep them open, try to keep them growing. And I think that's the big thing. My impression when I walk around here is I look at all the students and I ask myself, what would they be doing if they weren't here? And that blows me away when I think about that. There's thousands of people. Where would they be? What would they be doing? And I think we at Yamaha want to keep them connected to an entity that really does, like Tim said, it may sound altruistic, but providing life-changing, positive life-changing experiences so crucial. And it's also in, the DNA of Yamaha, and that's why we're a partner forever.
Yeah, terrific. And we value Yamaha as a NAM member and all that you contribute. So I'd like to move to our band directors, Richard and Josh. First of all, tell us a little bit about your programs. This is Josh from Ohio.
Hi. Our program, we're from Centerville, Ohio. We've been involved in this organization for a very long time. Specifically with this festival, we've been coming here since 2012 with either a student in the Honor Band of America, coming to the banquet to celebrate a friend of our program, maybe being inducted into the Hall of Fame. We've had our wind ensemble, our wind symphony was selected to perform in 2013. And then we were really excited for this year. We had 2 quartets. We had a saxophone quartet and a clarinet quartet that were accepted to perform at the festival this year. So this has been a great festival for our program and for our students and for myself personally to be coming to for quite some time.
And you were telling me you have about 270 kids and 50 kids?
We have about 250 kids in our high school band program. We have 3 concert bands that meet throughout the day, 3 jazz ensembles that meet outside of the school day, Winter Guard, Winter Drumline, our marching band known as the Centerville Jazz Band, and now these chamber groups are starting to become part of our program as well that meets entirely outside of the school day for our students. So
a strong program, a robust high school program.
We're very, very fortunate, yes.
How about you, Richard? Tell us where you're from and about your program.
Well, I'm the director at Lake Travis High School in Austin, Texas. This is my third year there. This is actually my third time to come to the festival. I've taken another group here before, and I saw what kind of change that did with the students at my previous program. So my experience with the Music for All Festival started in 2008, and just since that time, watching it grow and reach out to other students and other type of performing ensembles has been super impressive. We have 3 concert bands in our organization as well. We're about 170 members. And so 3 concert bands, a jazz band, winter color guard, and a percussion ensemble. So that's what usually makes up the Lake Travis High School Band.
So how big is your school overall, Richard?
We are what you would classify as a Texas 6A school. We have about 2,700 students on our campus.
And how big is your school?
About the same, 2,800 in our building. Yeah.
And you're the only high school in town? Are there other high schools in town?
We are within our city. Yeah.
How about you, Rich? Well, we know Austin has a...
We're the only high school in our district. We're in the Lake Travis School District, and our middle school is actually, one of our middle schools is here this year as well. So we brought one of our middle school performing ensembles to do the middle school track. They're performing this morning, and then our high school came together.
So to both of you, why is an experience like this so important to your programs and to your students? How does it fit into the goals for what you want your students to be learning?
I think for us, and I think this was mentioned before from somebody else earlier this weekend, having a goal of coming to the National Festival is something that we have been telling our students since we've been at Centerville. This has been a goal for our program to be around the National Festival. You know, we've been coming to Grand Nationals for over 30 years. And that's something that our students are very aware of, and it's something very special to our program. Our students were not exposed to the festival until 2013. This is a whole nother spectrum. And talking to other band directors and other students, they say, you know, the National Festival, I enjoyed that experience just as much, if not more, than Grand Nationals, which for our kids, they're like, there's no way. That's not possible.
And just for our audience, Grand Nationals is the marching band festival that happens in fall. And it is, again, one of those life-altering experiences at Lucas Oil Stadium where it's if you want to understand the support and commitment to music education, what it takes for a town, a village, a mayor, parents, school boards to actually support a program like that, and the innovation and creativity and the arts integration of these programs. I mean, dance, theater, drama, original music, it is the creative force of these students just is expounded in these programs. You know, and here is a different type of creative force, but that you see it in the Grand Nationals. So forgive me, I just want to make sure that our audience understands and if that's another reason to come to Indy in the fall, it's to be part of the Grand Nationals, which we have enjoyed being part of too. So go on.
Yeah, I'd also say just, you know, the goal of coming to this festival, being able to program music that our students are going to be challenged with and are going to be able to truly understand music that we would not be able to prepare just for a concert at home or for contests. You know, this is something that we have invested a lot of time into, a lot of thought on what we want our students to be exposed to musically in our classroom, and to prepare them to perform for some of the best evaluators and directors in the world.
And it's part of your curriculum, right?
Absolutely.
It becomes part of the plan for the year, right? How about you, Richard?
Like I said earlier, this is my third time here. So I took my last school, J. Frank Dobie High School from Houston here in 2008. And that was my first experience at the National Festival. And watching the transformation of my students over that 3 or 4 days, and then how that became a catalyst for our program, and part of that experience from 2008 still carries on in that program now. And so I wanted that for the students at Lake Travis, because when we get on the bus today to go back to Texas, we're different people than when we got here. And I think noticing how student-centered it is, I think that's a special thing. Something that I've been really more cognizant of recently is just making a greater effort to expose our students and promote what we do. You know, some activities do that at a really high level, especially like just within our local community, you know, like reaching out and getting the band students more visibility and more experiences to make their life more enriching, and after our performance yesterday, we were having dinner, and then our dinner block was over, and we were kind of wrapping up with some students and just visiting about what their experience has been at this point. And the same words were coming out of this group of students' mouth, to where you can just you can tell that they're feeling this excitement and energy to continue, and that, it's just really cool to be good, and that's its own version of fun, and being around so many other students from across the country and getting that type of exposure and listening to those performances and just having this high concentration of people like them, because in your school community, band becomes such an absorbing activity, where we have our own language and, our own inside jokes and stuff like that. And we all stay together, and the band hall is where we feel like we're safe at school. This is our home away from home. And so the students were talking about that from the social yesterday. And they said, we walked into this room and there were a ton of people that I didn't know, but I felt like we all knew each other, because we were all the same, and so I think you don't get that type of experience anywhere else. And so that's what I felt like it was so important to bring the students up here and have that type of exposure from a global perspective of excellence, and getting to, be around other students that take their craft at a really high level. Because this is, not every student is going to be a music major. Not every student is going to continue to play their instrument. But this is the one time in their life that they can do something like this, And I think that's what makes it so special.
So this is part of your annual plan, or every 2 or 3 years to have a group that can qualify to come back, or this is part of your curriculum now?
Yeah, we would want to come back periodically. This is the first national festival that we've participated in, so this will be a catalyst for us to do other things on a national level and stuff like that. But yeah, we would want to continue. When I took the last school up here, and we went in 2011 as well, I mean, that was important, and we would want to come back again, and share the talents of our students with people from across the country. And
that goes back to Eric, our value conversation, why we want every student to have this experience.
It's a difference maker.
I mean, it's 2,700 students here, and then your regional festivals. But then, that there's this opportunity for excellence everywhere.
One of the things I'd add to it is just, I marvel when I hear the stories that it goes well beyond the band room when they go home. The approach to life, the things that I hear, and when you talk about what's in the future of our organization, just to be someone who tells the stories, repeats the stories of just the amazing things that students and programs are doing in their community that have nothing to do with music making, but do have everything to do with community building. And that's the part that just drives me.
Right, absolutely.
My name is Maggie, and I love playing the saxophone. Know what else I love? Listening to the latest episode of Talking Up Music Education, a podcast from the NAMM Foundation. Subscribe today and get smart, like me.
Well, this is always the best part of a conversation. We get to talk to students. Maggie and Emma. First of all, tell us what instrument you play. Maggie, would you lead us off?
Well, I play the baritone saxophone.
And do you carry it also?
I do, yeah. We just got new saxophones, and they have wheels on them.
Oh.
You just wheel it behind me.
I'm always impressed with the music products industry. Yeah. They come up with solutions.
Wheels are good.
Right? How about you, Emma?
I'm a clarinet player.
A clarinet. So we have single reed players here. What year are you?
I'm a senior.
Senior?
I'm a junior.
And a junior. Okay. So upperclassmen. Yes. Leaders in your schools and ensembles, right? What has this experience been like for you?
This experience has just been amazing. It's just been like no other. Mr. Baker always told me over the summer when we found out that we got accepted to this program, he told me what he thought it might be like and all these experiences that I would get to have. And I just kept thinking about it and waiting for it. And then we got here, and I got here with my friends and with the other members of my quartet, and we just experienced it, and I just had to stand back and take it in, because it's just amazing being able to be surrounded by music and being surrounded by people who just care about everything, care about the music, and care and want to make you feel special. They want to make you feel like this program is just, I don't know, it's without words.
You can tell by the twinkle in your eye, and that you're having difficulty finding the words, right? And what is your plans as a senior?
I plan to go to the University of Kentucky and study elementary education. I auditioned to be music minor. I haven't heard back yet, but I hope to do that.
But in some way, music will be part of your life, and certainly be part of your classroom.
Yes, definitely. I would like to be in the marching band, and I want to keep playing because it's been such a major part of my life, and I just can't let it go.
Emma, how about you? What did this experience mean to you?
Well, this has been absolutely amazing for me. And as Mr. Hicks said earlier, you feel like you already know everyone here. Like, for example, last night, there was a group of my band sitting around. We were playing cards. And a group from another band walked up, and they had a pizza. And they were like, hey, you want to share a pizza with us? So we're like, oh, yeah, sure. And we sat and we talked. And I felt like I had known them for years, even though I'm from Texas and they were from Wisconsin. And, you know, I probably will never see them again, unfortunately.
But you'll see them on Facebook.
Oh, true.
You'll see them on Snapchat or...
Yeah, I will. But I might not ever see them in person again. But I felt like I still knew them. And as much as I hate to admit it, our band program has been doing really, really well ever since Mr. Hicks got here. But we kind of struggled for a while with some of the upperclassmen who didn't like the change, who didn't like that there was like a new band director here. And when they graduated last year, it completely changed the attitude of the band. And I think coming here has also just changed our band program so much and made it so much better. And we're going to get so much better from this. And this year has been so amazing just because everyone's so into music.
You know, Eric, I go back to our opening themes about, you know, the things that we want our young people to know and take into the world, right? I know this is kind of a deep question to both of you, but, you know, what are you taking into your lives that you learned from your band program and your music education program? The fact that you had a chance to learn music. Can you kind of share a couple? I mean, you talk about people maybe are more accessible to you, Emma. You understand that you can relate to people more easily. Is there something you could share about that?
I guess being in music, going into the hall and seeing other bands perform, you see them on stage and they look all polished and, you know, perfect and professional. But as a student, you know all the work that went into that. You know that probably, you know, a few months ago, the music that is now beautiful to your ears was a complete train wreck. And
the term train wreck is used a lot in instrumental music. Right.
And also just being in music, being in a leadership position, coming to things like this, it's just made me so much more outgoing, and it's so much easier to talk to people. And I don't know, there's something about playing an instrument that just makes you a better person, I think. In school, like in classes, all the teachers know the band kids are good students, well-behaved most of the time. And I just think that's really special, and it just makes it a lot easier to communicate with people. So
you'll carry this with you to the rest of your life?
Oh, definitely. I don't intend to stop playing my instrument. I want to play clarinet in college, be in a college band wherever I go. And if I have children, I would love for them to be in band and have the same experience that I had, because I think it truly shapes you into a perfect person, an amazing person.
How about you?
I think that it's helped me learn that I'm able to do anything almost, because I'm drum major at my high school, or I was drum major, and it's helped me be able to learn that no matter like what situation I'm in, I can get through it almost, because I've been in so many difficult situations that I've had to like problem solve through. And even like when you're playing music, you have to problem solve through it. You know, like when I'm in a quartet and the music's not going right, you have to look at each other and you have to like, in the midst of the music, you have to figure it out. You can't like stop the music and be like, hey guys, slow down the tempo. You know, like you can't just talk to each other. You have to like look at each other and you have to just know. And I think that's helped me so much. Or even like through marching band, that has helped me so much in being able to be in these positions. And like in any other program, I don't think that I would have gotten that, you know, and like these directors have like pushed me and made me be in those positions, you know, and like I got that full experience and I was able to have that. And I would recommend these programs to anybody. And being able to have these experiences, going to these festivals and going to Grand Nationals and going to the Music for All Festival, I would want that for anybody to be able to say that they've gone to this and be able to experience that and meet all these people. It's just an amazing experience that I think everybody should experience.
And I think that's a call to action for all the adults here around the table. Right. All right, Yamaha, all right, Tim, all right. I mean, that's our job. We got to make sure that, you know, we need to go out and build a collaboration with the Council for Great City Schools. This is my call to action, Mr. Martin, looking across the table to you, which is an organization of the 80 of the urban school districts. We need to bring that leadership force to this table so we can, all right, we're shaking heads.
It's an absolutely yes.
All right. So, again, thank you, Emma, and for what you've told us about this, because it is our call to action through our Support Music Coalition and the work that we do. So, John, just let me ask you, you've been involved with Support Music Coalition, and you're also involved in Indiana. How does this event impact our national movement? You know, all the work that we're trying to do.
Right.
We've heard a lot here at the table about, you know, we do need to celebrate music education. You know, more visibility for music education, more visibility for when these kids get home. Right? That the community is fully aware of its impact, that the adults that attended are speaking about it, and that it's not just for the select percentage of the school, that programs can grow, that more kids in the school maybe can be involved with guitar programs, mariachi programs, music technology programs, you know, that creative energy is reaching more and more students. The best will always rise to these honors ensembles and these top ensembles to have, you know, but we do want this continuum experience. So how does this contribute to this, you know, this whole idea for advocacy?
Right. I think that there's different spheres of influence, you know, and to the point of how complex and multifaceted a band director's job is, you know, Rich and Josh now have got to go home. And they've got to tell the story on a community level, a local level, a state level, you know, and bring that story forward so people can see and experience what you experienced. And then leaders get turned on by that. So there's that public, larger sphere of influence that band directors must do that have experienced this. But Emma and Maggie really articulated perfectly one of the crucial issues, the most effective, and that is, who am I becoming? You know? Who am I becoming as a person, as an individual? Both of you so beautifully just nailed that question without even being asked. You're not afraid of doing anything. You've seen magic happen in a room that you thought, you know, this train wreck would never happen, but your experiences, you're changing as an individual. That's a different sphere of influence, but it's also advocacy. You know, the bands that aspire to be here, like I think, Josh, you were saying that you hoped to get here for some time and you finally got here. You know, absolutely. There are so many bands out there, you know, that we really want to reach. Like Eric was saying, we have to take this experience forward so they can get it at a local level. You know what I mean? A regional level, like, you know, Music for All is doing. So this is a big event with a lot of people with amazing bands at a very high level. That's something that people do aspire to, and they want to be here. We need to continue to tell the story, and that, you know, that is advocacy out there.
Yeah, the best way to defend a program is to celebrate a program every step of the way, including the first note that the fifth graders play. That we're really celebrating learning. You know, we're celebrating learning and connection and commitment, and then it reaches this pinnacle of experience. Eric?
Mary, there's something, you know, I'm hugely in favor of the all of the above answer, and all of these things that have been said have been the right answer. But there's some other things that we're doing in Music for All and investing in. And I'll tell you, to the chagrin of my development and sponsorship team, I go out and meet with sponsors and potential sponsors. And I tell them about the Be Part Of program that we've gotten involved in and that we put resources toward, which is recruiting tools to give teachers and schools tools that they can use, that they can take the Word documents and change it and take the videos that exist. And sometimes that's the grassroots side of it. When I listen to students who can talk about their experiences and then hear a student looking prospectively and saying, if I have children, I will ensure that they have this opportunity. The more students we can get to pick up the instrument the first time, then we can solve all of our political problems of proper funding, communities that support. I've watched some things in districts where community leadership that's coming from the band room, the choir room, the drama room, and everywhere else, where they're simply saying, I will not live in a community that does not afford for my children these opportunities. And sometimes, Josh, when I think about the state of Ohio and I looked at the referendums, and we have to create a culture where once their children are adults, they do not undercut or undermine the next generation, that it is a societal responsibility. And I think that I believe that children that come through Music for All programs, it would be antithetical to them to not ensure that other children, whether they're their own or others, they will have those opportunities. So being engaged in that and being responsive to when you issue a challenge or you say, we need to talk about a program. Another experience that Music for All had is that tonight, as a part of the Honor Band of America concert, there's going to be a concert within the concert. It's going to be from United Sound. Students who are in schools, who are underserved, who are challenged in special ways, but we have to find ways for them to have musical experiences too.
We have to find ways.
And they'll be
featured tonight. It's up to us.
Tonight.
I mean, this is, again, the adult side of the table.
Yes.
You know, we have to be very serious about this and go forward with that.
Hi, my name is Emma, and I love playing the clarinet. Know what else I love? Listening to the latest episode of Talking Up Music Education, a podcast from the NAMM Foundation. Subscribe today and get smart, like me.
So thank you for all these wonderful thoughts. We're going to just move to a few more personal reflections and then into the final segment, which I call the Big Three, which we have a chance to maybe just morph a little bit around the table with some ideas. Richard and Josh, I'm curious about your journeys to being a music teacher. Did you come from an inspiring music teacher? Tell us a little bit about how you became to be a band director. Richard?
I think I possibly stumbled into it. I was the first person in my family actually to do music. And I tell my students that my mom will still call me and check in and go, was there some type of contest that went on today? Usually I remember. And so I'll re-educate her in the short term about like what we just participated in. And she's still reflecting on that from my own childhood. But I think the reason why I became a music teacher was because of my band directors. And I think through the time that you spend with them in a time intensive activity, in an activity that's set up where you interact with students over a longer period of time than a semester and a year, it makes our job a little easier to make an imprint on a student. And so I felt like there was having somebody at an impressionable time in my life that like had standards of excellence, showed compassion, was a dynamic personality, and was a real stabilizing factor in my high school
So
career.
did you just kind of stumble into a band program? Did someone recruit you? Did you?
No, I mean, I followed the normal track. I mean, we started band in 6th grade, and there was like a 5th grade assembly about band, and I come home and I think I want to be in the band. And my mom was like, well, I think your uncle played in the band for a little bit. So yeah, let's go try that out. And then I don't even think there was a conversation about like, well, are your friends doing it or something like that? So, and I, started in 6th grade and then continued on through high school. But by the time I got to high school, I think my sophomore year, I'd already made that decision that this is what I wanted to do, just because I felt like the experiences as a music teacher were going to be rich. and fulfilling over time.
And your operative word was there, you had an opportunity, right? I mean, you didn't have a lot of control of your environment when you were in 5th and 6th grade, right? And there was a chance to try an instrument, to choose an instrument. And again, I go back to look across the table to Eric. That's what we're working for. And John, that's what we're working for in our coalition. We want the opportunity for great teachers to be supported, for programs to be developed, for students to go to school one day, and all of a sudden that's the day that instruments are being demonstrated and they have a chance to sign up, right?
Absolutely.
The bottom line is it's kind of your store. We want that available to every child, pretty much, everywhere. Not pretty much everywhere, but absolutely everywhere. So it's been a great career for you, right? It's your life's work now, right?
Yeah, we talk about that, when we're in the throes of the music and we're having discussions, and of course that branches out into non-music stuff, and you start discussing careers versus jobs and what the difference is of that. And I really feel like I'm learning every day, and I'm excited to learn, and the students make me a better teacher. And one reason that I chose to do this profession is, and I think every band director can relate to this, is like, there's not really any day that's the same. Mm-hmm. So every day presents new challenges, and the curriculum is constantly changing. And to be in an activity where what you invest in, you get something out, and you see that you're making a positive impact on a student's life. Because I think that watching our own students and seeing how they interact and spending time with them and getting to know that you get in touch with that they need something different from you. Each student needs something different from their director to help navigate the landscape of high school, and that's a safe place that they can, needs to be a safe place that they can learn to succeed and fail and wipe the dust off their knees and pick themselves back up and learn from that experience. So then when they go out and it's not as safe anymore, they have the tools to be successful.
Thanks. How about you, Josh? Was there a pivotal moment?
A very similar setup that Richard just discussed. I started in 6th grade and had a lot of opportunities presented to me that, looking back, there was that one decision that I made that has now affected so many different aspects of my life. Picking the saxophone, that was something that my mom encouraged me to do. And I remember one of our middle school band directors just brought it to me and said, "Here, try this." Got a sound right away, which, come to find out, that's not very hard to do. It was cool at the moment. Very cool. But at the moment, I was like, "All right, I can do this." I had that instant gratification of being able to play one note. It was maybe a sound at the time. So being able to have that opportunity and having a really great middle school band experience. Getting to high school, at the time, I remember the summer going into high school, I did not want to be in the marching band. I didn't want to do it. And my mom pretty much made me do it. And it's one of those things that I'm, as a parent now, I want to make my kid piano lessons. As soon as you can do that, you need to be doing that. And I thank my mom for that so many times. I struggled quite a bit that freshman year.
And that's on the land of values too.
Oh,
right?
absolutely.
It's a values, someone
Absolutely.
there standing and saying, this is the value for our family, or this is the way we approach learning.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely. And I remember it was that very first day of band camp. I got to lunch. And I love the activity. I love the experience. I made friends instantly. My high school band director, one of the most influential people of my life, just really invested in me. And taught me what it meant to serve, what it meant to serve people. I think that's one of the best things about this profession is just service. You can see that in this room and the people that are talking, and just this whole weekend, how much we want to help each other. There is no competition. It's collaboration. It's serving others. Having students in your classroom that do really truly make you a better person, a better teacher. They give me more than I feel like I give them some days. So having the opportunity to have a career, not a job, where you get to go to a place and serve people and serve your kids, serve your community, serve your parents with information and experiences for their kids. That's one of the best parts, going to a concert, seeing my students' parents over at our performance yesterday and watching their faces as they see their kid perform on stage. You can't get that anywhere else. When we do concerts at school, we do our performance, and we always make a point to go out and talk to the kids and their parents in the lobby. And just seeing their parents' face of how proud they are of their student. Their parent may not know or understand anything they just did, except that I'm just really proud of Maggie for doing this. I know the process and the journey that we went on in a teacher-student relationship. The parent, their job is just to be proud of their kid, which is awesome to see that. But being able to show the parent and bring them to things like the National Festival or going to Grand Nationals or these regional opportunities that are coming up in the future, it just creates this environment of service. It creates an environment of family, which was something, service and family was two big things that we talked about when I was a student. And we talk about the Centerville band family quite a bit. You don't get to talk about that in your math classrooms. You don't have an algebra family, that we talk about. Algebra is second period, and kids wait for the day and go, I have band seventh period. But it's not just a class. We really feel like it's part of our family. It's part of our environment, our culture that we're trying to create in Centerville. And we have students like Maggie, and Maggie's going to go back and she's going to share her experience. And hopefully that will continue to just spread and become part of what we do as a band family. We serve each other. We support each other. And that's something I feel like this festival has. It does have that family environment. You talked about, Emma talked about the social, walking into a room of people that are instantly welcoming you in, and you want to learn more about each other and serve each other. And there's the amount of standing ovations that I've seen this weekend is just so supportive and encouraging of what people are doing here at this festival. That's something that these students will take with them forever.
Thank you, both of you, Richard and Josh. Very profound thoughts, truly, that you shared. I think we'll just look around the table. Have we all had a band director in our lives? Have we all had that? Everyone's head is nodding.
Keep pushy.
Right? There's a for me too, there is a pivotal moment where through the guidance and support of another person, I saw that life could be something else. Absolutely. And life could be something else that involved, service. This word service is so important than sharing, collaboration. It could be collaborative. You could have high standards, incredibly high standards, and it could be based on a strong inner value that you could carry on to the rest of your life. Well, this is the little part of our conversation. I'd like to turn to Dr. Tim to kind of help us maybe just wrap this segment of our conversation before we close with our big three. We've heard so many wonderful thoughts here, Tim. What, in your experience and your wisdom, is the best way to kind of motivate students and support music teachers to keep things fresh and interesting in the classroom and during performances? How does it stay evergreen? Mm-hmm. There's something truly kind of feeding us here.
A great question, and a tough one too, by the way. We're all here because, as you said, of a band director. We're here because somebody influenced our lives. Now, I think at a point it gets where the music captures us. But if they hadn't been shepherdess to that point, we could have been something else, an accountant, a doctor. So when you look at teacher, number one, it's what Emma said. The band changed when Mr. Hicks came. And change is hard, but he literally changed that community. So those wonderful teachers that can build a trust relationship instantly, now we've opened sort of the top of the salt shaker and we can pour everything in. But if that doesn't happen, it's hard to get salt down through those little holes. So I look at that, and how do you keep it fresh? Well, you keep changing. You keep doing things like this. You get out of the pattern. You expose them to new people, to different situations. It's a microcosm of life. And just to stay there and keep ramming through those same notes, I mean, that can get boring fast. And particularly young people of this age are going, I want it now. I'm on the go. I only have so much time. Either benefit my life or get out of my way, or I'll get out of your way. So those directors who keep creating that family situation where I have value, I make a difference. It's interesting. And I love sports. But sports can only accommodate so many people. Music is a place for everybody that we'll see tonight, yes? Music, if you can fog a mirror, we got a place for you. And we got a lot of drummers around this table, too, that will attest to that fact, right? No, but I mean, really, that's what it is. Keep it fresh. You have to have great pedagogy. You have to have great music. That's a given. But that's in every class. But what we bring to it is the mortar between the bricks, not just the bricks.
And I think what I'm hearing you're saying, too, is we have to reach out to community. Right?
Absolutely.
We can't be like sort of in our own community and think that's that. And Music for All provides another way to reach out to community, to grow, to learn, to connect.
Yeah, if there's probably, and you know this better than anybody, Mary, if there's probably a downfall, it's that we don't do that enough. We're not in the churches, at the Rotary. We're not out at the opening of the Walmart with our group.
The Chamber of Commerce, the school board meeting.
It's endless.
Senior centers.
It's endless where we can perform. And those people, when they're exposed to music, I mean, if nothing else, go to a nursing home and play. And you'll go, music makes a difference.
Right.
I have a new grandma and grandpa now that I never had. Or replace the one I didn't have.
Mm-hmm. And there's that you become then a fabric of the community.
That's right.
You
Absolutely.
to become a service. I think
Absolutely.
To have this conversation with you, Josh, and bringing up that concept, you learned of the value because of service.
Oh, absolutely.
You know, and I think that is really undervalued in our competitive time. You know.
And that's something our quartets, we try to give them as many performance opportunities before they got here to the festival. And we did that, was that 2 weeks ago, I believe, at a retirement village.
Yeah.
And they were able to play their full recital, and they just, those residents were so appreciative to see young people playing such sophisticated music and working together. And it provided our students with an opportunity to give back to our community and serve, but also perform and give what they're able to do so well to our community. So it was a great opportunity.
So a spontaneous question to all of us here at the table to wrap up this segment. Are we fairly bullish on music education at the moment? If we were in a bull and a bear market, how do we feel about music education?
I'm bullish about it. I have no choice. It's in my DNA to be bullish. And I have never seen such a collaborative environment as I see today. Everyone trying to grow the size of this pie and to have people involved. Bullish because that so much noise that isn't music, that noise is getting to people in a way that they can see that what happens to musical people is exactly the opposite to what they are hearing from spoken word in our society, and the absence of collaboration, cooperation, and understanding. So I'm bullish. I believe that between the improving economy and the opportunity to apply resources, that people of goodwill, communities of great spirit are making the choice to value the arts and are simply looking for any and every workable approach that advances the arts.
Anyone else?
Yeah.
The concept, yes, Dr. Tim.
This is really important because it carries over to everything else. NAMM is a Switzerland for the music industry. It's a safe place for everybody to go. And you have two competitors here, fierce competitors that know, and we're best friends, that if he slips, we'll slip too.
Yep.
So we have to support each other so everybody wins.
How many boards and groups and think tanks are you and I together, or Mike and I, or you?
Yeah.
We're
all in this together.
We're talking Yamaha consumer
yeah,
here.
That's right.
Right. Across the table.
Friends.
Yep.
Across the table.
Yeah.
They make us better every day. You make us better every day. We challenge you, and people benefit from it.
It's the relationships that count.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
Because without them, I'm not near as good. Without
So therefore, bullish really matters.
Absolutely.
And together we're going to be bullish.
Yeah, we're going to lock arms on this one.
Right.
Yeah.
Teachers, students, where do you think we are in music education? Are we bullish for music education?
Absolutely. I think it's becoming more and more important for our communities and our schools to provide music education for our students in every possible way that we can. If that is music technology, if that is choir, orchestra, band, jazz. I mean, as much as we possibly can, students are given more and more choices that they can make in the classroom, at home. We need to provide those opportunities for kids to, when they are at school, that they are being productive and that they are involving themselves in activities that are positive, in activities that put them around people that can have an influence on their lives, like I was very fortunate to have. And I hope to see Maggie 10, 15 years from now being a positive person in our community, 20 years from now, whatever. I want her kid to be in the Centerville band program. Like, keep them coming. I want more Maggies in our band program. And that's becoming more and more important for our society and our community, to allow our students to experience how special music education is. You really can't get that anywhere else.
And in Texas is pretty bullish on music education.
I think that we've talked a lot about collaboration, and Tim was like, we help each other out. And I think that, in Texas, we're just so protective, and so the guard comes down and we all unify. And then, of course, when you have a bunch of, music educators and then their families and parents connected, just because of our activity, we tend to be highly organized. And so then that also surprises people when we have to come down the pipeline and talk about some things that are, could affect the quality of education within our schools and stuff like that. Because that's what makes a difference, is like people that are unified and organized, and you tend to see that a lot in our activity. Where it doesn't become about this program or that program or how successful they are or competitive. It just becomes about, like, this is about protecting what we do, and that it's important. Because kids don't jump up in the morning and run to school for physics AP. They're like, I cannot wait to get to first period for the next physics project. They don't do that. They get up to come and have meaningful experiences. And we are lucky in many parts of the country, in Texas especially, where we access to have that during the school day is so special and still sacred where we live, because not everybody has that opportunity where it's built in to the school day. And having, being like, for example, at our school, we're in the process of hiring a new principal, and just being really sensitive about protecting our activity within the school day, and understanding that it's important to pay attention to the activities and nurture those, because that makes your school better. It makes your school more stable. It makes your our students are the ones that are invested in the community of the school, which is a mini city, and I think, for example, like this year, for homecoming in the fall, we had 3 band students on the homecoming court, and talk about a unified vision getting together on that, and making a public presentation that we can direct change, within the school, and how it affects the school community. I think is what it's really about. Is just being protective of our activity.
Thank you.
Mary, can I ask you a question? We'll switch it
here. Okay. Maybe.
Well, NAM does not need to have this whole educational outreach. And you've spearheaded it along with Eric and your incredible staff. What do you see as the value of taking industry and education putting together? What synergies there for you?
Well, the synergies are going back to Eric's great statements about values. It's the core value of NAM to support music education, because it truly is the right of every child to be able to learn and grow with music, and that every adult is a defender of that right. Yep. And that is the essence of our values. And we articulate our values by supporting the Support Music Coalition, running that as a national collaboration. We believe in the modern management model, which is collaboration. We are in an innovative time period where we have to be better communicators. We have to be able to reach across the aisles, be an example, be an emblematic activity for others to support young people in the best possible activities that bring them into the world with the values that we believe for cooperation and to come back and serve their communities. I mean, all these things that have been expressed at the table really represent what NAM is standing for. And honestly, I don't think I've ever been more bullish for music education. And I've never been more bullish because of the people that are involved and committed to it now. The young teachers that are coming into it. Yeah. The diversity of the programs, the fact that programs are producing mariachi and classroom guitar and music technology and investing in student-led recording studios, and that school administrators are speaking the language. Now we need to get them to walk the talk. Yep. With support. We need to support the visionary school administrators that want to create. So again, we need to take our spirit of collaboration beyond the music room. And that becomes a responsibility for a NAM Foundation and a NAM, and for Music for All, for our partners in Yamaha, Selmer. I know we worked on projects together that take this message beyond the band room to other stakeholders, Capitol Hill, state legislatures. And there are lots of champions there and a lot of people that understand this. And we need to support them and guide them into a process of creating more opportunity.
Well, kudos to you and NAM, because you're the band director of the whole project there.
With our partners, too.
Absolutely.
National Association for
together.
Music Education. We believe so strongly that we need to be the best example of collaboration as well.
It's made a difference.
Thank you.
Is there time for me to tell you a festival story, which is a tribute to NAM and to everyone at the table? Yesterday, we have 2 stages for concert bands. One's called the Invited Band Stage, and their clinic opportunity is even different, that they are in pods. So, and Tim, you were leading it. So you were in the room. I'm going to tell a story. There was a festival first here, and after your introduction to me, you'll understand the significance for me. But the first ever participating ensemble from Mississippi was here, the Gulfport High School Band. And they played a piece of music that everyone at the table, they played Puccini's Nessun Dorma. Yeah. And it was beautiful. And when the clinicians came, and in this clinic environment, other bands are listening to the clinic. And the first clinician sort of gave the background of the Puccini opera and this particular song, in terms where the value of your presentation to the princess or the queen was a life or death matter, and the quality of how you played. And one of the clinicians, when they were talking about the grand theme of that beautiful piece of music, and he was trying to convey and get the students to play it as though their lives depended upon it, and the communication to the audience. They played it 2 or 3 times after the performance in a clinic environment, and probably most of us in the room tears started to roll down our eyes as it became more and more powerful and beautiful. And we started to look around the room at each other, and people who had never met each other were in tears. And it wasn't about the concert. It was the clinic and the growth that occurred, and the ability of these kids from Mississippi who had never experienced this could communicate so effectively to others that the emotion could not be withheld. The power of your investment, the power of all that we do, and my mind is so big that I look at it and say, it was the first ever participant from Mississippi. It won't be the last. Right? It's just opened the door to the children, to the state, to music education, and it wouldn't be possible without the investment of everyone at this table and so many others.
What a remarkable conversation we've had here. Eric just talked about that Puccini piece, and just as he was talking about it, a few tears came into my eyes, because we know that the power of that moment that you shared with us, that these kids opened up in a way that they didn't know they could open up and express, and how it was felt in the room. And boy, we just want to make that happen for every child everywhere.
Hello, I'm Eric Martin, President of Music for All, and I'm proud to be a featured guest on the NAM Foundation's podcast, Talking Up Music Education. Subscribe today and hear the best and brightest talk about the benefits and joys of music making and music education.
So we're going to wrap up with the Indianapolis Big Three, which is we're going to go around the table and sort of ask for final impressions and information and final little sharing. So to Eric Martin, I say, give us the 3 best restaurants in Indy that we need to visit when we're here. If you can limit it to 3.
When everybody comes back for Grand Nationals and the Music for All 2017 Music for All Festival, you've got to go to St. Elmo's or its sister restaurant, Harry and Izzy's. If you're going to have a little breakfast bite, go to Cafe Petichu. People have been telling me, so I'm cheating a little, people have been telling me about the experience they've been having at a brand new restaurant called Nada I haven't been to. But at the end of the day, when you need that good old burger, go to a place called Ike and Jonesy's. It's my cheers. Everybody at our office at Union Station, right around the corner, would tell you that that's where I live. And I go there because everyone knows me. They leave a place setting, and they leave the light on for me.
So if we say we know Eric Martin, we'll get a.
If you say pretty much, if you go to Ike and Jonesy's and say, "Friend of Eric," you're set.
So you've heard it here, folks. It's really important. Dr. Tim, this is a little more serious, but you can wrap it up. There's 3 actions or attributes that you express in almost every presentation you give. What are they? The things that are easy to say but hard to live, which is what you're kind of known for helping us understand.
We, us over I, me.
Say it again.
We, us over I, me. That the strength of the pack is each wolf, but the strength of each wolf is the pack. And that we will gain more of that. That we're measured by what we give, not what we have, which is part of the servitude theme that is, it's like this event, Porsche, there is no substitute, because it's all about the give. And the third thing for particularly the young people is to give up giving up. The persistence alone is omnipotent. And anybody can get there if they'll keep crawling up the side of the mountain. Those are the 3.
Dr. Tim isms that we all try to remember and live by.
Yep.
Richard and Josh, what 3 pieces does every band director in America need to be able to teach their bands ultimately if they want to?
How did we get the most loaded question?
Right. Well, and it might be, a mariachi piece. It might be, we're in a changing world. Maybe it's not what they need, but maybe you wish, it's a pretty open-ended question. Want to go first, Richard? Or Josh?
Well, it's just like Richard and I were talking, like, man, who's going to answer this question first? This is a hard one.
It could be the same piece. It's okay.
It doesn't matter to me.
I would prefer Josh to go first.
Sure.
Maybe then I could piggyback on it later.
Well, I don't want to sidestep the question, but
That's okay.
I've given some thought to this a lot. And, from performing here at the festival, we tried really hard in our programming to provide our students with great literature. Just fantastic literature that they can learn about and our clinicians are aware of and can give us some great feedback. And that's something I think band directors should consider when making a recording. Music that is just fantastic that their students need to know. What are those 5 pieces that you know really well that you want to share with your kids? From performing here at the festival, I would suggest, maybe something that's multi-movement. Something that has different styles within a piece, a really significant piece of music. I just throw it out there, the whole suite, one of those 2 significant, if not the most significant pieces of music ever written for the concert band. We try to expose our students to that every 4 years in our program so that we at least have a body of students that know about that music, know what that music is about and the historical significance of that music. Pick something that features your strengths as an educator, your strengths as a program that will really bring out the best in you and the best in your kids. And just a diversity of styles, something that is maybe a piece by Puccini, an opera transcription, or, something like that that's just very diverse for you as an educator, something that pushes you as a teacher. And when the other band director and I are making recordings, we always try to pick music that is going to push our students, and also it pushes us. And that's one of the best parts of doing this as a career is, being pushed as a professional. It's one of the best parts of this career.
So we're not naming names.
So I didn't name any names.
I see that we had the same. I see that we had the same tactic at play here on this question, where we were going to take the political debate stance on this question, and not give details. Right. I think when you program stuff at home. There's either a particular type of year you're celebrating. There's a festival that has a list. Texas, we're all about these lists, and we have to play on the list and stuff like that. And so for us, when we were picking our program, there's great stuff that is not on the list. And there's stuff that, in your top ensemble, you're playing usually stuff off the top. Even if you are playing on the list and this piece is on the list, you're usually playing at the top of that list. And so, you start looking down in the lower grade levels and you're like, man, that's just good music, And so, that's, and then also taking the audience on a journey. I think that's important. So like when we were picking something, something that, I think is really important and, is playing an American march. And so, we tend to do that at a lot of, especially something like this. And then, playing just a standard of our, repertoire, even if it's, not something we would play at festival, not on the list. For example, we played, Irish Tune, from County Derry by, Granger. And, that piece is something that, every director in the audience appreciates, every evaluator appreciates. It has an emotional connection within the story of the piece, and can have an emotional connection with the performers as well. Then, something significant and heavy, that your show, the competition is done. Getting here was the competition to get here. And so using this as a catalyst to push your kids, it's a safe environment to do that. And so pulling them up to a higher level and playing just something substantial and heavy and showy is important, and then playing an orchestral transcription, possibly something that, from a master before the original band works were around and stuff like that. In this particular, performance, we played, Capriccio Español, and, that is a major orchestral piece of music. And so we played the wind transcription to give our kids the exposure to that. And, then something fun, something fun at the end, a kind of a great concert closer. We played a band transcription of 76 trombones, and that was a Japanese transcription. And I knew coming up here we were going to be the only, there's not going to be another group that's going to have a Japanese transcription of 76 trombones, an American musical. Mm-hmm. And so I thought that was cool, so I think it's, asking a band director to pick 3 outstanding band works to play is so challenging, because you have pieces that have made an imprint on your life that made you want to be a teacher. And then you also, in service and stuff like that, you're so interested in giving your kids the best experience possible, but I think getting the amount of time we get on stage, like having a diverse program that take multiple different styles, and just quality literature, like Josh said, that the kids really appreciate, just good music,
I think you both answered that question very effectively. And you only invoked Gustav Holst's name once. Yes. So Maggie and Emma, quickly, if you 3 things that surprised you by being here.
I have 3 things. I don't know necessarily if they surprised me.
Well,
okay.
But you didn't.
Well, I was just amazed at how talented.
Or surprised.
Yeah, I was amazed at how talented everybody was. I also, taking away from, what Dr. Tim said the first day, he said, not to focus on your mistakes. I learned this. And, focus on, all of the positive things that happened, I took away, all of the amazing things that happened from this weekend, and I can just focus on those. And, when I remember this experience, I'll remember all of the phenomenal things each day that happened. I'll remember my concert. I won't remember, little mistakes that happened. I'll remember that feeling of, applause, when you stand up, and that amazing feeling of just excitement. And then something that surprised me was like, I guess it did surprise me, but like the more you put yourself out there, the more you'll get out of it. And I'll take that with me. When you are able to like answer questions and when you're able to sit up front, you get to get way more out of it. Like in my master class with Otis Murphy, our quartet sat right up front in the very front row, and he called us up and we got to play in front of him with Otis Murphy, and it was amazing. It was it was phenomenal. It was one of the best experiences of my life, and I'll be able to like take that with me for the rest of my life. And we put more out of it, and so we got more out of it, and so that was just amazing for me.
Wonderful. How about you?
I'd say, first of all, that how kind people were, which, again, now I think about it, doesn't really surprise me because band kids are usually very, very kind. But how, I don't know, approachable everyone is, like waiting in the Starbucks line or on the elevator, just walking around the halls, how easily approachable people are and how kind everyone is, and all the directors and all the people working here. It was just, everyone's so kind and approachable and generous. And then also, I would say how, like Maggie said, how impressive the bands are that are here. Like, you come here and your director's like, oh, people are going to be really, really good here. And you're like, yeah, okay, you know. But you don't really understand how impressive people are until you're in, you're in the audience watching, and it's like, wow, that was something, that was special, that was really, really impressive. That gave me chills, that moved me to tears. Like, there's just something about that that's really, really special. And then finally, it's just how much passion there is here. Like Dr. Tim and our clinician, I believe his name was Anthony Maiello. Is that his last name?
Maiello,
yes. There's just so much passion in these people. And, they'll have you laughing one minute and in tears the next. I experienced that multiple times. And it's all about music. And I don't think anything else really has that much passion in it that music does.
Wow, it kind of left me speechless there, girls, I must say. Yeah. And, to also be able to say, to be in a community of almost 3,000 people and to say for a few days of immersion and how kind people, Eric, I'm looking at you again. What we aspire to, right? The things, experiences we want our children to have, right?
Yes. The way we want our world to be.
Yes. Amen. All right. John, as an advocacy leader through NAM Foundation, also your work in Indiana, your 3 tips you can share with your fellow NAM members and business leaders in terms of, why your advocacy voice is so important in this issue.
Yeah, and how
it benefits your business too.
Right. I think this is a really important question. I'm going to get right to it. I think that the things that move the needle the most are not big, inflated corporate initiatives that take 5 months to put together. I think it's the man on the local level, the woman on the local level who own businesses, who are in their community and active. What they can do to be involved in music education advocacy, I think, is they have to have the mindset of thinking and acting locally. Advocacy, as we've heard from our friend Bob Morrison and different people in different discussions, it's not what you do, it's how you live, right? I think that was the phrase that we've been, kind of hanging our hat on or believing in. So, number one, show up and attend concerts in your area. If you're a business leader, go to high school programs, go hear orchestras, go hear community bands, go there with your family or by yourself and get and stay inspired. Number two, seize all I wanted to say, when you go to a concert, if you're a business leader, post your emotions, tell what you loved and how you were moved by how the people played, etc., or the play or the dance, what it was, or whatever it was. Number two, seize any opportunity you can for your business to include live music in all of your business events. Tim talked about that. I believe in that so much. When I was a band director, even though it was a smaller band program, the first program, we've looked at every chance we could get to, the hardware store. the bank, whatever it was. Where can we show up? Where can we have a gig? And the kids really reacted to that. That affects your business as a business person to include the live music performances there. And also, if you're a local business leader, think about sponsoring appearances for the community. In other words, support the band to have a small group, saxophone quartet or what have you, show up to play at events. So, and number 3, finally, is, if you really want to be an advocate on the local level, think about adding a section to your business website that promotes local school arts activities. It's not difficult to add that section. When are the high schools, every high school in the area, when are their theater productions, when are their dances, when are their arts, their visual arts presentations. So number 1, show up at concerts, get and stay inspired. Number 2, seize all opportunities you can to include live music in your business events. And number 3, add a section on your business website that promotes local schools' activities.
Well, this has been a remarkable morning here in Indianapolis. So to all of our panelists, thank you so much for being part of this time with me. We need to say goodbye from Music for All. Eric, in a few days, 3,000 people will leave your town, and they'll leave the musical memories with you. So we thank you so much that we could share this time here with you, Music for All National Festival. I want to thank my guests, Eric, Dr. Tim, John, Richard, Josh, Maggie, and Emma. We wish you so much good luck in your graduating from high school and your junior year, which we know how intense that is, and your senior year that's ahead. Thank you for being with us. We hope that what you've heard today inspires you to subscribe to Talking at Music Education podcast. We're available on iTunes and Stitcher. Thank you for being with us, and remember to get involved with all the latest and greatest music education news and events by joining our mailing list at namfoundation.org. Until next time, I'm Mary Lurson, and this has been a special edition of Talking Up Music Education.
Talking Up Music Education is a podcast created by the NAM Foundation. To learn more about how you can support music education in your community or how you can be part of the work of the NAM Foundation, visit our website, www.namfoundation.org, or join us on Facebook at facebook.com/NAM Foundation. You can also follow Mary on Twitter at MaryLNAMM.